If you're a parent and you've never heard this, you haven't been on a family road trip. Hi everybody, and a warm welcome back to Maple Leaf Customs in Switzerland. I'm Andrew, and on the bench today is a larger scale RV made by a company called Happy People. I think that's exclusive to some German department stores over here close to where I am. This is the last of my series of 4 summer road trip buddy builds, this time with fellow Canadian Sean Korol. This one's all plastic, and it incorporates all the standard features that you would see in a regular size RV, like the overhead sleeper cab. The undercarriage is fairly well detailed. There's just a hint of yellow in the window glass. There's an opening door on the side and a pretty basic interior that you're not likely going to see when I'm all finished. Sean picked the theme of family vacations for us. I've had this RV casting on reserve for a while now, and I thought I'd bring it out for this build. The first order of business was to cook up a whole bunch of specialty 3D printed parts. You'll get a closer look at them in just a moment, but this is how they look coming out of my Elegoo Saturn 4 Ultra resin printer. This is a heavy-duty steel door that I designed that'll replace the one that came on the model. Here's a front ram to help with parking. And all kinds of different varieties of window armor that I drew up on Tinkercad, which is an open source design program. These are from the first batch. I've already primed them in brown. That's a large LPG tank and a smaller size. Some different greeblies that look like some ventilation pieces. There's an old tin can that I cut into some armor. More window coverings that I've painted from the first batch. I hope that looks old and weathered to you. There's a heavy locking chest. You can already get the impression, I think, that this is going to be a post-apocalyptic RV, because you're still going to need to take a family vacation to get away from it all, maybe then more than ever. I hope you'll be coming back here to my channel for all of these upcoming builds, including our August Four Horsemen build on a lowrider theme. Everybody's invited to take part in those, and I sure do appreciate your patronage by visiting Maple Leaf Customs regularly. Thanks so much for doing that. My kids are all grown up and have their own families now, and I bought an RV in my retirement. But only my wife and I have ever traveled in it, and we put a lot of miles on ours. Last summer we went from Switzerland to Norway in a road trip for the ages. It was an awesome time, but I can't really imagine anything worse than having kids on board in such a small space. And only one thing could be even worse than that, and that would be a post-apocalyptic family trying to get some R&R in one. So, in honor of my parents, who endured many long spring break road trips from Toronto to Orlando, Florida, with kids in the back seat, pre-iPhone and iPad days, here's my post-apocalyptic family RV build. Today's community shoutout goes to Gus Diecast, whom I follow on Instagram, and you can too by checking the link that I left in the description, and I hope you will. I use super glue to attach all of my greeblies and window and door armor pieces, and I find that adheres perfectly well to the plastic casting. This family is taking the precaution to bring all kinds of fresh water jugs with them. They're mounted on carry-in brackets on the side. Don't worry if things are looking too clean to you. I'm far from finished. But my vision is starting to take shape piece by piece. There's a rolling tenement that fits the theme. After the resin pieces are printed and cured, they all need to be primed, and now I can do a little bit of painting. And the gray steel door simply gets a little bit darker gray. I'll do some highlights on that as well, so that the bolts and hinges and the handle will all stand out a bit more. A touch of acrylic orange is always a nice rust effect. I find if I water it down substantially, it looks even more realistic. It will dry a little bit lighter than the original application looks. The smarter ones among us would probably do all of this before they glue the pieces on to the casting, but I got ahead of myself. Still, it's not too hard to do at this later stage in the game. Post-apocalyptic rules are a mess is the best. Over the years, I've shown you several different techniques I use for chipping. AK Interactive makes a good media, but I find that hairspray does exactly the same job. You get a whole lot more in a can for a fraction of the price. So I spray these liberally after they've been primed in a rust color. After that dries, which is only a couple of minutes, I can apply the top coat of paint. In this case, I'm going to put white down first, then the primary color on top of that. There are the LPG tanks in white only. One oil drum that will be on the roof of the RV gets a green treatment. I do the other one in red. These are Vallejo acrylic paints. After only another 10 minutes of drying, you agitate the top coat with a wet brush. The more bristly, the better. And that will easily remove that top coat. You can go as heavy or sparingly as you wish to get your chipping effect. That's about where I want mine to be. Realistic looking, isn't it? You could coat that with some matte clear finish and you're all set. The LPG tanks came out great too. These will go on the back of the RV and the two small ones on the roof. I'm pleased with those. I found a ladder that was just about the right size in my boneyard bin. Now on go the big tanks. A black roof vent will break up the all-white top. Here's the redneck version. Some of my homemade black wash is liberally applied all over this 2-white RV. That's gonna dirty it up. Any excess I take off immediately with a paper towel. That gives the perfect effect that I'm looking for. Still need something extra though. Graffiti. Looks like the gangs are still tagging everything and marking their territory in the dystopian future, because RVs spend a good bit of their time parked, making them easy targets. I had great fun with this part. Here's my favorite one. The cry from the back seat of every vehicle on every road trip ever. This is a toothpaste tube roller or squeezer that I'm going to use to make some DIY steel plates. This is about a 0.5 millimeter piece of styrene sheet. Crank it through there. And look at the corrugated effect you've got. Perfect scale. I'm going to cut these to shape for the 2 side windows, because I didn't like what I had on there. I've got an assortment of leather stamps in all different shapes and sizes. I'll use that to punch out a hole so that they can see out. And all that's left is to paint those up in some rusty colors and apply them to the cab doors. After these were finished, I did a final dusting and weathering with some light brown using my airbrush set at a low PSI, which lent itself to the overall effect. Let's have a closer look. Notice the RV is not weaponized. This is not an attack vehicle. Mom and Dad just want to get away from all the chaos. But you gotta take these precautions for family safety. So most of the effects I did were of the armored window variety, as well as some long-haul supplies like fresh water and LPG gas. I'm imagining that both of those are in short supply in these days. This one is well armored, it's fully stocked for the trip, and it's still a roller. I try to keep my RV clean like this before version of the mini camper, but if I survive to post-apocalyptic days with it, it's more likely to look like this. And that's just how I wanted everything to turn out. I hope each of you has had a lovely summer and perhaps made some memories on your own family road trips with compliant kids in the back seat. Big thanks to my Canadian buddy Sean Korol for doing this buddy build with me and wrapping up another summer road trip series. Thanks for visiting today. Drive carefully. It's coffee time.